recognize the gentlelady from the state of California, Ms. Chu.
I'd like to start by reminding my colleagues that the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program was authorized by the CARES Act and extended by the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021, both in overwhelmingly bipartisan votes. Additionally, Ways and Means Democrats secured funding to fight fraud and to recover taxpayer dollars in the American Rescue Plan, which actually is the very reason why we have the testimony from the witnesses before us today. The pandemic was an unprecedented disruption of our economy, which is why Democrats and Republicans acted together to expand unemployment benefits as quickly as possible to assist American families who, through no fault of their own, suddenly found themselves without a way to provide for their families' basic needs. This was a success, which is why the U.S. has had a stronger economic recovery than any of our peers. And we learned many lessons along the way, including that there were gaps in the distribution of these benefits for individuals such as my constituent, Damien, a father of two who is self-employed and also works part-time as an ambulance driver to make ends meet. Damien didn't qualify for pandemic unemployment assistance, even though his primary employment was self-employment, because he had a small amount of wage income that qualified him for regular UI. So I was proud to champion the inclusion of benefits for mixed earners like Damien in the bipartisan 2021 Consolidated Appropriations Act. Likewise, I have heard from many individuals that federal pandemic unemployment was a lifeline for providing for basic necessities like food and life-saving medications. That includes Gretchen from Altadena, California, who has been in the film and television industry for the last 30 years and is a cancer survivor whose medical coverage is predicated on the number of hours worked. And Mary from Pasadena, a nursery school teacher whose employer's doors closed and had to file for unemployment for the first time in her 26-year career. And May, the primary breadwinner for her family, living in Sierra Madre, trying to stay afloat while distance learning with her 3 kids. The swift action of Congress mitigated the hardship that jobless workers and their families suffered and was essential in stabilizing an economy that lost a staggering 22 million jobs in just 2 months in early 2020. We know that there are lessons to be learned from these efforts that can strengthen and sustain the UI system for future emergencies, and I hope that it's the goal of this hearing that we do not neglect our duties to protect our workers in the midst of a global pandemic. So, Mr. Dodoro, although this is not mentioned in today's testimony, GAO also conducted discussion groups with recipients of UI benefits. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, tell me what are some of the things they said in terms of what they spent their benefit on, and did they talk about how the benefits affected their housing and their credit?
We conducted these discussion groups in 6 states. We did 2 in each state for 12 discussion groups. And people told us they spent their funds on rent, utilities, food, and health care and other essential activities during that period of time. So it helped sustain them through that period of time. They also had a lot to say about the difficulty in getting the benefits in the first place, and we included that in our report as well.
And how did this affect their housing and their credit?
Well, it helped them to maintain, paying their bills. So I would assume that had a positive, or at least didn't have a negative effect on their credit.
And what do the dozens of high-quality research studies GAO reviewed say about the effect that providing UI benefits during this pandemic and in past recessions had on economic stability?
We reviewed 30 empirical studies that were done, and those studies indicated that it helped stabilize the economy during that period of time. It helped prevent the situation from getting worse, and so it had a positive effect.
Thank you. I yield back.